looks like that's about it to me. Alright, how y'all doing out there? This is Pete. Now, we went ahead and welded the transmission tunnel back up. That was a real fucking nightmare. And let me tell you something. If you plan on doing this right here, you better be prepared. Okay, hold on a minute. Somebody just pulled in. Let's see who we got. What? Norm?
He thinks you should know by his car.
20 years ago, Norm.
Back in the day.
25 years ago. How the fuck am I gonna know somebody 25 fucking years ago, dude? Yeah. I get people that come up here all the time. Hey, what's up, Pete? You getting your car? You remember me? You painted my car 29 years ago. Remember, it was that 1980 Camaro. Okay, what I'm doing here, Norm, is we're putting the center console and the shifter in the Chevelle. It's a big fucking job, dude. I'm not really looking forward to doing this because I don't know if I'm going to use that center console, dude. I don't know if it's going to cut the mustard. The shifter's got to go about where it's at right there. Of course, we got to, cut a hole out, drop it down, blah, 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 this, all that, and the other shit. And hopefully all this will work. Don't fucking move that, Norm, please.
I'm going to open it.
Well, don't open it, dude. You know what's in there? Nothing. A box.
No, I want to see how much you got to cut out to make it fit.
All right, so what we're looking at behind that dash that you're probably curious of is a factory original 2012, I believe. 2012, no, it's 2014 Camaro center console and shifter. Now, we're running a 4L80, or is that a 4L60?
I don't know.
Okay, I don't even remember. 4L60E transmission with 5-speed overdrive. And they don't make aftermarket shifters for this thing. The only way that we're going to get that shifter to work is we got to pull one out of a factory OEM car that has that transmission and modify the shifter to work.
Welcome to D.I.Y. Automotive School with my friend Pete and Minnie, the body shop girl. It's everything you need to know about cars and more.
So if we look in the car, this is what I bought at the junkyard. I got a Camaro, 2014 Camaro shifter, which is right here, all right? We got the shifter, and then we also have the center console. Now, we're going to be modifying this center console. We're going to make a custom center console out of this center console. You're going to want to watch that video series because I'm going to show you how to make fucking custom interior parts out of parts that are basically like this. So don't look at this thinking that we're going to use this center console just like it is. It's not going to happen. But I went ahead and I put the dash back into the car. You can see it right there. But what we got here is we are going to have to modify this to work. Now, the way that this actually works, I'm going to show it to you. You got your shifter that actually bolts up on the top. We got to cut a hole in the bottom. That's what we're going to start out with, a small hole. And then we'll work our way to get to a bigger hole or to whatever we need. And if you look on the bottom of this shifter, let me grab that out of there. We can look at that shifter right there, and you can see that it's got a rubber boot on it. And then it also has a section here where it's supposed to seal up to the center doghouse once it's bolted down. So we're going to have to make something work that's going to be compatible to our shifter. So the way that this shifter works, if you are doing this and you're putting an LS2 fuel injection drivetrain in your car, you're going to have to get something like this. This motor and transmission was out of a pickup truck, so we definitely know that the console shift or whatever the fuck they had going in the truck is not going to work. And you can see right there, this is the linkage that goes to the Camaro shifter. So we can cut that linkage down whatever length we need. It'll slide in and out of the shifter. I've already got it hooked up. It's in park and ready to go. So let's really take a look at this situation before we even start anything. You know, when you're modifying and fabricating parts and upgrading Y2K compatibility of the situation, you got to find the solutions, because there's always situations that are going to get in your way and obstructions that are going to stop you from doing something that you want to do. And this is where brain power comes in. This is where you really got to fucking think before you react. A situation that will arise that says, I want to do this, I want to put this motor in my car, and I want to use that transmission, and I want to do everything possible, but what the fuck am I going to do to finish it out? I think this is a situation where we need to call Dr. Dildo in to explain to us of what really is going to happen once we start using our brain and start thinking of the situation while we are looking at the problems that are arising.
So, bitch, what the hell's going on out there? Sammy Slam straight out of Miami, and I'm not feeling too good today because my friend Pete's treating me like a pile of shit. That's what he's doing. He's asking about Dr. Dildo. Who gives a right fuck about Dr. Cocksucker himself? This son of a bitch thinks he knows everything. He doesn't know nothing. He's a piece of shit. Sammy Salam is just as smart as Dr. Dildo. I got a beautiful hat here is what I got. And I love my hat because you know what? My hat means everything to me. And that's the situation you got when you're doing something like this, is you got to have the positive attitude of saying, I can do it right. That's all you got to know. Fuck Dr. Dildo and all this brain bullshit talk and all this crap about physics and cocksuckers and motherfuckers and bastard child sons of bitch cocksuckers. That's what I'm trying to say. All it takes is a big tall boy, a snitch malt liquor, a McDonald's hamburger, and a beautiful hat to get things going in life. Because it's common sense. So what the hell you got to do it right? I advertise all these videos. I hope you love these videos, because these videos are here to help you get her done do it. And it takes brains to make a video. It sure does. And that's what Savage Slam is here for, to make sure that you're getting these videos and making sure that they're cocksuckering itself into your brain and helping you do things the proper way. But do we really need to see Dr. Dildo today? Do we really need to see him? Hell no, I say. Sammy Salami says fuck Dr. Dildo. Fuck him in his ass, and he can go dildo ties himself, the sons of bitch. Because what we're going to do is we're going to nurture the situation. We're going to research and see what's going on, and we're going to make sure that we get the proper parts to make everything work right. And that's all you gotta know. Sam Slam straight out of Miami. We're having a hell of a time over here at SWRNC, advertising these videos for you to watch. And always remember, research is your name of the game when it comes to doing a job like this. We'll see you later. Take it easy. I gotta get back to making videos to make sure that you are learning the proper way. Sammy Salami, I wish I was in Miami. Hell yeah. I miss it. I love it. I just want my Schlitz malt liquor, you cock-sucking bastard, sons of bitches! Bastard! Just like that is what I'm trying to say right there, yes. Oh my God, it's a situation. Yes, I know it is. I'm sorry, I was talking to myself. Okay, thank you. Okay. Oh God, don't do that. Oh Lord, okay. Yes, you take yourself and be the person you got to be. To diabolically, destructively, and mortificially get the problem solved by doing what you have to do to make it right. I gotta go, the phone's ringing. Yeah. It's probably a patient that needs a little bit of dildoing, and I'm the guy that's gonna do it. Yes, thank you.
So I've kind of taken my center console apart, and we're going to set that over there because we really don't need it right now. All we were doing is actually lining that up to where the shifter is going to go. And like I said, the dash has been installed, so we kind of get an idea where we want our shifter. Now, I made a mark on the floor right here where I'm going to start cutting my hole out. This shifter is actually designed to literally bolt to the, down to the floor. And another thing we got to do is from the floor up to the top of the console is approximately 6 inches. Whereas if we bolted this straight down to the floor, this space between here is only 3 inches. So we're going to have to figure out and devise something that's going to actually sit down far enough where we can lift it up. Do you understand what I'm saying here? We're going to have to build a box for this to bolt to have that airtight seal and make everything fucking work right. So to give us an idea of what I'm talking about so you understand, let's look at our 68 Roadrunner as I open the door up. Stay there, don't fucking go anywhere, bitch. And we look inside right here as we see the pedestal that is basically part of the doghouse, the transmission hump, you might call it. And you can see that there's actually a pedestal built where the shifter would bolt down. Now this of course is a 4-speed, and that is where the transmission would come up through the doghouse where you would shift your car. But that's what I'm talking about. That's something that we're going to have to build or make for our shifter to actually work properly. So you can see that we got a lot of work ahead of us designing this shifter to work right and to make it actually function the way that we want it to do. In a situation like this, most of the time you would get in your aftermarket parts catalog book and find a shifter that an aftermarket manufacturer such as B&M shifters or Low-Car shifters would actually make. But being the transmission that we're using, they don't make aftermarket shifters, so you got to make your own and do what you got to do, and that's why it's going to take some brain power to figure it out. Okay, the first thing we want to do, now that we've located where our shifter's going to be, I drew a mark right here with my magic marker. This is our center point where our shifter arm is going to be located. We want to go ahead and get the center console out, and then we're going to go ahead and take the dash out as well, because I've actually refinished this dash and rebuilt it, so we want to get that out of the car. Once that's done, then we can start cutting our holes and start getting this thing where we can use it. Alright, we got the dash out, we got everything cleaned out. I have my wire harness over here. This is our main wire harness where everything hooks up. This is our fuse box, and I already went and pre-installed that earlier down the line, or should I say back down the line. And what I'm going to do, because I don't want no sparks or flames hitting that, I'm going to take my welding blanket and I'm going to cover the wire harness up, and what that'll do is protect those wires from melting, breaking, or what have you, so we don't have any faulty situations down the road when we start to wire our car up. Now, a lot of people will be doing this a different way, so I'm showing you examples here of how I'm doing it. That doesn't mean that you have to do it the way that I'm doing it, but follow my lead here and take yourself into the situation of, this is a good example of what I need to do to install all this into my muscle car. That has to be 6 inches up. Alright? Because we know the center console is 6 inches when it's sitting on the back here, where what do you call that fucking compartment, and then you got your cup holders and stuff. So when it's sitting flush on here, we measured from the hump up is 6 inches, so that has to be 6 inches up. From here down to the hump. So if you look at our shifter right here, before we drill any holes, I'm going to show you this as an example. We need this part here to be 6 inches. I'm talking about this bolt right here, where this screw goes, needs to be 6 inches down from the hump. So that is approximately 8 inches. So what we need to do is we need to go 2 inches down inside the floor. Now, once again, this is designed to cut a big giant hole out and then, of course, weld a thing up on there, but we're not going to do it that way. We're going to go ahead and do it a different way, and it will all be sealed up. This is saving us a little time and a little expense for the owner doing it the way that I'm going to try to do it. I'm going to try to accomplish doing it. And what we're going to do is we're going to start by cutting our hole out where our shifter arm is going to go down into the car, and then we'll be able to adjust it up and down where we want it. Once we do that, then we'll figure out how we're going to make our base to hold this, and then also if we're going to go ahead and cut this all out, or if we're going to leave it solid or whatever. So what I'm using is my plasma cutter. Now you can use different variants of cutting apparatuses, tools. You can use a plasma cutter if you have one. You can go ahead and use a cutting wheel. You can use a lot of different stuff to cut this out. I'm going to use my, that, because there's nothing underneath the car. Now, if you're working on a car that has electrical wiring in it, has carpet and all this other stuff, I suggest not to use a plasma cutter. So we are using a plasma cutter. You can actually go different angles if you want. So I'm looking for my line. Here it is right here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cut this out. And to get the length of what I need, how big a hole I need to cut, I'm going to measure our shift pattern, and that comes out to be approximately 5 inches. I'm measuring from one end to the other, so that's telling me that our slot where our shifter arm has to go down in has to be at least 5 inches, possibly a little bigger. And then the maximum we can go is 7 inches. So we want to keep it around 6 inches. So if I go to the center here, I can come all the way over here, and then, all right, here we go. Right here is where we're going to go. And then from the center of this, we're going to go right here. Okay, so I just bumped in 2 holes. Now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and cut our hole out for our shifter to fit down into the floor so we can get this thing going. Alright, I have my center console where I want it to fit. So what that's telling me is I'm going to go ahead and stick my shifter down into the hole, and we're going to see what happens when we slide it in here, and then put our shifter down. Now, I do notice that it fits very, very nicely. Let's look up underneath and see what kind of action we got as the center console is sitting there in position where we want it. All right, if we look at a side view of it, here's our center console right here. That's where I want the end to be, right there on that flat spot. And then, of course, we're going to custom build all this up here. But this is where our shifter is going to be. Let's look up underneath there and see what kind of action we got as we crawl up under the center console and actually look at the section where it might possibly hit. And I see that by looking at the hump, and let me get this light over here. There we go. You can see that this is our hump right here. This is our shifter housing and our rubber boot. You can see that that is hitting on the hump that we need. So we're going to have to cut that hump out to get this thing to actually fit in there properly. That means that what's going to happen is we're going to go ahead and end up building a box for our shifter to actually bolt to. So let me get all this cut out here that I need to cut out to where this actually sits down in there, and we got enough free play where this is going to work properly and it's not going to move around. And you know what? I'm looking at that. Let me try that one more time, because now that I see what's going on here, we might not have to do that. It looks like it's actually working pretty good, just like it is, without. I think we got lucky and we don't have to cut the doghouse out. All we have to do is make ourselves a pedestal for our shifter to stand on. So that way what will happen is the only hole we're going to have is over here on this side where the shifter rod actually goes through the car. Now, the big question I have is, since this is not a cable shift, this is actually a rod, I'm wondering if the rod is going to clear the cross member. Let's go down underneath with our flashlight and see if everything's going to line up that way. Okay, if you look right here, this is our shifter assembly that's coming through the floor right here, and then here's our shifter rod that's hanging down. Once again, this is a rod type shifter. This is not a cable. I wish it was a cable, because a cable would be a lot easier. This is our bracket that we had, came off the transmission. That was a cable shift. So what we're going to have to do to make this work, we're going to have to go ahead and remove our linkage just like so. And I'm trying to get this nut off of here. There we go. And then we would put our shifter linkage back on just like it's supposed to be. And then our shifter linkage would actually go through this hole right here. I'm going to pull that down so I can bend that. There it is right there. So then our shifter linkage would go through that hole right there. So it looks like we got a lot of work ahead of us. This is a situation that says, you know, what the fuck's going on here? This is a situation that says once you start it, you just keep on going. If you fuck up, don't worry about it. Everything's fixable in life, especially something like this. All right, we did cut our hole out into our transmission a little bigger, but look what I got here. All right, you see that? I got the piece that I cut out, and if I have to patch it up, then I'll patch it up. Are we trying to make a concourse restoration out of this? It could be possible if the car was not all completed. It could be possible if it was on a rotisserie. It could be possible if the customer that owns the car had bags full of money to basically waste. Because if you're building a car to drive, then build the motherfucker to drive. Don't build a trailer queen show car and dump all this fucking money into a situation like this and time to put it on a trailer and just look at it. But it looks like everything's going to work out properly, and I think things are going to actually come together. All right, now before we go any further, I want to go ahead and explain something to you, and it's real important. Car building such as what we're doing over here, fabrication and custom car building world, LS2 motors and all that, is generated basically, and the foundation of it is basically around the entertainment world. You're saying to myself, my friend Pete, why are you saying that? Because I'm telling you that because of all the advertising and everything that you see on TV makes you believe that you have to do it this way, and this is how those guys do it, and it's got to be done that way, blah, blah, blah. And basically all you're doing is wasting your fucking time. Let me explain something to you real square. These big fucking shops out there, we're talking about shops like Troy Trepania, Chip Foose, Boyd Coddington, and all these other guys out there. Now Troy Trepania, I gotta say that he is a fucking master fucking car builder guy, but he charges very, very expensive prices to do something. And the reason they're getting them expensive prices is because they're doing this high-tech, exotic work, and a lot of this work is not even seen. A lot of this stuff that you see these guys doing will never be seen, and it's just gone to the extremes of what you really have to do to make it work. I'm a little bit different, all right? I do a very good job. I'm not gonna sit here and brag about myself because there's always somebody better in the world. I don't give a fuck what you do or where you're at. There's somebody better in the world, so don't think you're the best because you're not. Just like me, I ain't the best. I'm far from it, but I like to take pride in everything I do, so I'm gonna say that I'm pretty good at what I do. So the way that I do something is a lot different than possibly what you might see on TV, or you might walk into one of these big giant, multi-billion-dollar fucking businesses, and they got 27 cars lined up and 44 employees working for them, and it might take them 3 weeks to fabricate a situation to make this shifter work by the fucking hour. These metal fabricating shops, these high-tech fucking paint and body shops, and custom car world fucking exotic places such as Troy Trepania, Chip Foose, and all these other fucking cocksuckers out there that, are God's gift to the fucking world of, custom cars, charged by the hour. But there's one more catcher besides that. The price that they charge is extremely, when I say extremely, I'm talking a guy like you and me, we can't go over there and pay that fucking price. Extremely fucking high. When I heard, this was 15 or 20 years ago, when I heard that there was a shop that was charging $100 an hour, I was thinking to myself, you are fucking joking me. 15, 20 years ago, I'm charging 25 bucks an hour. You understand what I'm saying? These guys are getting $100 a fucking hour, and people are eating it up. But what they're paying for, that they don't understand, is that they are paying for these extreme hours of making this little box, all right, that will fit around this shifter. When you put it down on there, it's all open from the bottom, and you can see it up inside there, and it's all molded and formed, just like we looked at over here on our Roadrunner. And you're paying $3,000 because that little box took 30 hours. So I'm charging you $100 an hour to make that little box, to make it look exotically high-tech, fashionable Y2K. And that is ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. The way that I am going to mount this shifter in here, it's going to be just as strong, it's going to last just as long, and it'll shift flawlessly perfect as if one of the other fucking guys did it. Do you see what I'm saying? So I've devised a little plan that's going to save the customer a lot of fucking money. The shifter's going to work great. He'll be able to slam that motherfucker here, slam it back here. It'll last for his lifetime, his kid's lifetime, and everybody else that ever fucking owns this car before it gets wrecked, rotted out, or crushed. And we got the motherfucking job done. The way that I'm going to do it is not going to be the little box, all right, with a hole in it where the shifter sits down in there because we got the fancy rubber boot from the factory, and when we look up inside there, we're going to go, oh, wow, look at that. Golly, that looks awesome. We're not doing that, all right? We're saving money. We're fucking, doing the job right, okay? Because if you ain't doing it right, you ain't doing it at all. We sat down, we thought it out, and we're getting her done. So what I've devised is I'm not cutting the floor out in our car. The only hole that I'm cutting out is where this shifter's gonna go. All right, that's it. And then we will make a rubber boot shifter that goes around that, okay, with a slot in it, so the shifter will ride, and it will be covered with rubber, so when you put all the carpet down and everything else, it's an airtight seal. But this is another situation that says we got to be able to take our time and do it right, and we got to sit down and think, and the most important thing is tape it one step at a time. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take my shifter, and I know this is where it goes. This is the exact height, and I've already measured from the doghouse hump, or at the transmission hump up, to where it is on the flush mount here. And the way that I'm going to do it is I went ahead and I took some 1-inch angle iron, just like you see right here, and I went ahead and I put an angle in it so it's like an L bracket. Now this is not an L bracket that you would buy at Lowe's, some galvanized, cheap, inexpensive sheet metal. This is actually a homemade L bracket that I made right here out of, what would that be, 1/8 inch by 1 inch flat steel. And then I went ahead and on the back of it, it came out to be 2 inches, the front would be 3 inches, and that would give me just enough clearance right here for when the shifter's sitting like this, all right, there'd be enough room there where this wouldn't rub when you're using your shifter. And then once I attach my little legs that I made, my little L brackets, onto the shifter, just like that, what I can do now is I can set this inside the car where the hump is, and I'll be able to go ahead and weld our brackets in place exactly where they should be welded, but I'll still be able to go ahead and if I need to take the shifter out, I'll be able to access them around the shifter area itself to get to the bolts, the nuts, and remove the shifter out of the car. So what we'll do, we'll go ahead and take our shifter just like this, and then we're going to go ahead and look at the shifter. Now you can see that it's at an angle right now, but what I could do is I can bend my legs out to ride down on the side of the doghouse. Okay, I'm going to bend these legs out to fit around where I need to be to level everything out and make everything fit. Then once that's done, we'll go ahead and put our center console on, and then we'd go ahead and slide our center console over the shifter just like so. And then of course we want this to line up just like it's supposed to be. And then once that's done, we take our shifter cover, and then we slide that back down on top of it just like it's supposed to go. Got to get that where it's supposed to be. Hang on. We'll get it. Just hang on. Hold on with me here. And then once that's slid in place, we're going to find out that that's going to balance itself out. So we got to do a little bit of tweaking on it. We got to get it to where it needs to be. I need to bend our arms out, our little L brackets. We need to bend those out so the front of the shifter goes down. It looks like we're almost right there in the back. Let's get that all tweaked out. And when we come back, hopefully our shifter will be installed, and all we got to do next is work on the linkage itself. All right, we got our shifter into the car. We got our brackets welded in the car, and we also got all the linkage hooked up. This wasn't really a hard job. This was a pretty easy job. We're really not done with it yet. We still got to box in where the shifter goes down through the floor, but that's no big deal. We'll get that. Let's take a look at it. Let's see what we got and what it took to get where we're at. So if we look right there, you can see I had to precisely measure the shifter so it was high enough. Remember, we had to come 6 inches from this lip right here down to here. So we got that 6 inches. We went ahead and precisely eyeballed it, you might say. And when I mention eyeball, I'm talking about pretty much everything that I did to this car's eyeball. When you hear people say precisely measuring it out and using the right schematics and the measurements and blah, 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 let me explain to you, Square. Eyeballing it and getting it to where it will work is just as fucking good as giving you some line of shit that it was precisely and properly measured out to make you pay more fucking money at the big boy's place. So the only tape measuring tool that was used on this was basically from the bracket that bolts to the center console down to the hump. I could have went ahead and completely cut the hump out and then boxed all this in, and that would have been a big chore, but we didn't need to do that. It wasn't necessary. What we got left over is a hole where our shifter is, and I'm going to go ahead and shift it. You can see that it all shifts pretty precisely. I'm going to show you that in a minute. But yeah, it's mounted and mounted good, I would say. Tank style mount. When I say tank, I'm talking about it's going to really take a lot of shit to get this motherfucker out of here. I noticed that when I made my brackets, my L brackets, the legs were too short, so I went ahead and added to this, and I also made a little bit of a curve on it so I can weld it up nice and strong to get it where it needs to be. So our shifter is now installed into the vehicle. Let's go up under the car, see what the situation is once the shifter's installed, what it's going to look like. So there's our shifter lever that's bolted to the transmission. What I had to do with that, I had to bend it right there in that area. I had to pull it out away from the transmission. It was too close. Once I did that, it went ahead and relieved all the pressure on it. And then also what I did, let me move over here, is I went ahead and cut approximately, let's see what we got here, I would say 4 inches off of the rod, which gave us the clearance we needed to clear our floor frame rail here, and also gave us the situation where we are now clearing our transmission tube. The way that all this lined up perfectly is right there where that hump is, where it goes down, is where our shifter landed. That was a fucking good situation right there. That's where I wanted it to go, and it happened to go right there, and everything worked out great. So this is Pete, my friend Pete, your friend Pete. We'll see you on the next venture of our 1966 Chevelle as we install the LS2 drivetrain into the car. Hopefully someday soon, we will be getting it running. Take it easy.